We start, as we always do, with your Monday headlines, and they start with the Michigan Wolverines, a dominant 29-8 win over Ohio State, really sending a message not just to the conference, but to the rest of the nation, just how good this Michigan team is. Nick Soriano set the tone, Logan Massa, Myles Amine, each posted wins over top 10 foes, and of course, the big guy, Mason Parris, closed it out. Michigan won 8 of 10 bouts in this duel.
And the Wisconsin Badgers continue to roll. They remain undefeated in the Big Ten, 3-0. They go to Minneapolis and beat the Gophers for the first time since 2011 in the 100th rendition of the border battle with Wisconsin and Minnesota. Great start for the Badgers at 125 and 133. Barnett and Berwick with victories. Hamidi at 165 with a pin, but one of the biggest upsets of the season, Garrett Model at 157. He knocks off previously unbeaten Brayton Lee.
How about Penn State, now number 1 in the country, backed up that ranking. Easy victory over Rutgers. Duel highlighted by the victorious return of Brady Berge at 165 now, wrestling for the first time since that injury in last year's NCAAs. And the highly anticipated match at 184 turned out to be one-sided. Aaron Brooks all over John Poznanski, a major decision for one of the best in the country at any weight class.
And it was a wild one on Saturday night in West Lafayette, Michigan State, picking up its first Big Ten dual meet victory of the season. This one was 16-16, 5 match wins for each team. It came down to total match points. Michigan State 50-49. The Spartans a big win.
That's as close as it can get, but no trouble at all over the weekend for the Hawkeyes. Pair of comfortable wins, first over Northwestern Friday, then at Illinois Sunday. Drake Ayala picked up a monster win Friday over number 7 John DiAgostino at 125. That same night, Max Murin knocked off Yaya Thomas, who was number 4 at 149. Michael Kemmerer, our first ever guest on Big Ten Wrestling and Beyond, had himself a huge weekend with not just 1, but 2 pins over the weekend. So what is the biggest takeaway from this past weekend of Big Ten Wrestling?
A few of them. 1, 2, 3 with Penn State, Iowa, Michigan. The big guys are flexing their muscle, all with great weekends. There were some really tight matches. Nebraska and Minnesota on Friday night, Wisconsin and Minnesota on Sunday. Just mentioned Michigan State and Purdue. And then some great individual matchups. Sebastian Rivera, this guy is on a tear at 141. Couple more tech falls. He's bonus pointed everybody this weekend. Picked up his 100th career victory. That stands out to me.
I started the headlines talking about Michigan and that win over Ohio State, not just because they won, but the way that Michigan won. This one was never in question. The Wolverines are trying to get to that same stratosphere as Penn State and Iowa. They're inching closer and closer, Shane, with each passing week.
Well, Nick Soriano, at 125 pounds right out of the gate, he was dominant, really set the table. That's what a guy like Nick Soriano does. And in those upper weight classes, Logan Massa comes back 8 points in the third period to beat Ethan Smith. That crazy match with Myles Amine and Kaleb Romero at 184. And then to put a stamp on top of it, Mason Parris with a pin. Great win for Michigan. They rolled in Columbus.
That Massa match was so good, Shane. It looked like he was up against it, and he just didn't dominate. He owned that third period. He makes the takedown, but then the near fall as well. And how about Mason Parris? You gotta love this guy. I mean, confidence. All these heavyweights have unbelievable confidence to go along with their skill.
So much talent with Gable Steveson, Mason Parris, Tony Cassiope here in the Big Ten. It is a great weight class, perhaps the best in the country.
Well, when you're talking about one of the greatest wrestlers ever at any weight class in Gable Steveson, you know the rest of the heavyweights certainly have something to aspire to. Talking about exceeding expectations, you brought up Wisconsin during the headlines. I don't think anyone expected the Badgers, at least no one outside of Madison, expected the Badgers to have accomplished at this point what they've already accomplished.
Yeah, they are undefeated in duels this season, and you look at the way they do it. Eric Barnett at 125 pounds, an All-American, and the booking at heavyweight Trent Hilger. But 2 guys I really want to focus on that have made a huge difference. Austin Gomez all the way up to 149 pounds, and then at 165 pounds, Dean Hamity. This guy has been a hammer as a freshman, and they got some gritty guys like Garrett Model, Braxton Amos at 197. This is a very good dual meet team, and I think it'll translate to March. They got a chance at 4 or 5 All-Americans, get some Badgers on the stand.
That's the question I had for you. How much of a difference is there? These duels are important, but as Myles Amine told us later on in the show, you'll hear it, The peak is not about January. The peak is in March.
Well, the Badgers, the guys I mentioned, those are top 10 ranked guys. They're very dangerous. So I believe it's going to translate well. I think this Badger team is here to stay. They will cause problems for the rest of the Big Ten.
And you can see just how excited Wisconsin was over that win. You start rolling some momentum, and oh, by the way, you do it against those fellas up in Minneapolis. Nothing feels better for a guy. You know, you have Wisconsin roots.
Sure.
Nothing feels better than a victory, except when it's a victory over Minnesota.
And it's been so long, and it's the first time, I believe, since 2008 that they went to Minneapolis and beat the Gophers. And it was a big weekend for the Gophers because they beat Nebraska in a hard-fought battle on Friday. They got to be coming in feeling pretty good, chest puffed out, and then in come the Badgers, and they did the job.
If you didn't watch the first edition of Big Ten Wrestling and Beyond, now, first of all, I'm a little upset with you. Second of all, you're confused. What on earth are you showing me, you're asking? Well, that is a Shane Sparks bobblehead. It is highly coveted by all wrestlers, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country. And it goes to the wrestler who gave the mat return of the week. And our very first bobblehead went out to Iowa's Abe Assad. It was handed to him by the coaching staff, by his teammates, and you can tell this means a lot. Abe clearly getting quite emotional after receiving his Shane Sparks bobblehead. And for what it's worth, I asked for one last week. I still haven't received. I'm waiting. Shane tells me it's in the mail. All that being said, it is time for week 2 mat returns of the week. And I got to be honest with you. Knowing Shane the way that I know him now, he doesn't need any extra help from me. So I'm out of here for the rest of this one.
I absolutely love this. Again, we want to see your mat returns, but here are the nominees for mat return of the week from this past week. Some phenomenal ones. Let's start at 133 pounds with Chris Cannon from Northwestern, an All-American a year ago. Early second period, key right here. So win the whistle. He goes up there, clear plan of attack. Great execution. It's a 3-3 match, and he gets really tough in that top position. He ultimately rode the Hawkeye the entire second period. He wins this match with a riding time point included, 5-3. Good win there for the Wildcats. How about Greg Bulzak of Rutgers? Big, strong, and physical. This is actually a takedown, but a hard mat return. Nonetheless, you see the crowd getting excited. He's had a great year so far for the Scarlet Knights, one of the anchors on this team at 197 pounds. The win against Illinois on Friday, Bulzak, strong, physical, and he planted him. Lucas Bird of Illinois making a case to be named Mr. Mat Return. Want to finish periods on top, I speak about it all the time, and make that 2-0 score stand. He does it there in the first period. Good awareness right here at the edge of the mat, midway through the second period. Another mat return, and just like he did to close the first period, that not a big booming mat return, little slick trip there as a mat return. Great win by the All-American from Illinois. Our winner this week, Brayton Lee, magnitude of the match. The duel was huge against Nebraska. Top 5 matchup. Brayton Lee in the second period. This was so critical. He rode the Cornhusker the entire 2 minutes, had a couple of different mat returns. This one right here commits, but stays back and behind the hips of Peyton Robb. A great victory for Brayton Lee of Minnesota. No question about it. He is our mat return of the week. Congratulations to Brayton Lee. That bobblehead is going up to chilly Minneapolis. It will be to the Golden Gopher, Brayton Lee. Congratulations.
And don't forget, you want to get Shane's approval? Hashtag B1G mat returns is where you send the best mat returns of the week.
Here's Amine.
Comes back over. Who's going to be able to get their belt buckle to the mat? Right now it's Amine. Can he come ahead and get a little bit of elevation right there? He slips out and he collects the takedown.
Myles Amine in sudden victory, 3-1.
That sudden victory win for Myles Amine over Kaleb Romero, part of a huge night for Michigan and a dominant win over Ohio State. Myles, kind enough to join us now and kind enough to come right after practice. So, Myles, we appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. No, I was excited to do this. So, yeah, I rushed over and got a quick snack. So, you know, I'm not moody or grumpy or anything like that.
Good. I need
So
all my
excited to be on the
interview
show.
subjects to be well fed. Let's start with that win over Kaleb. When you are getting ready to go into sudden victory, before the referee lets you guys go, what's the last thing that goes through your mind?
You know, I just remember I like telling myself I've been here before, and not just once or twice, I think double digits I've been in overtime in college, over 10 times. So I was, really poised, and I remember hearing the crowd kind of get fired up because the ref actually had to go over to the head table to discuss something really quick. So they gave us about 10 seconds before we actually started the overtime, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, this is fun. Like, you listen to the crowd, and even though that crowd is probably cheering against me, just the energy, I kind of fed off of it.
It wasn't just a team win for you and the Wolverines. You dominated Ohio State. How much of a message do you think you guys may have sent to anyone that's not paying enough attention to this Michigan wrestling team?
I think we've known it, even, training this fall, and the energy in our room during the preseason leading up to, that moment. We knew this was kind of a special year. Just having everybody back. We got a lot of seniors on the team that are really mature, have been to the NCAAs and felt that, that wrestling at the highest level experience. And so I think this was finally, kind of a nice test for us, a top 10 team, a big rivalry duel, and everybody showed up. I think that was the biggest thing, was not just the win, but the way that we competed was very aggressive. And, we were really kind of trying to control the center and dominate. And I think that that's been something that has been kind of, instilled in the room these last 6 months. But to see it come to fruition, that's just momentum that we got to continue to build off of, because, you peak for March, not for January. And even this week, we have the number one team coming up. So it's a quick turnaround, and, we just got to continue to build as a team.
I know you do want to peak in March, but you mentioned this weekend's duel against number 1 Penn State, and specifically your matchup at 184 with Aaron Brooks. It's 1 versus 2. I know you try to keep yourself calm during the week because Friday is a long time from right now, but what should we expect on Friday night?
Just a battle, and, a lot of, high-level wrestling. I think that's what's got to be exciting for somebody watching as a fan, is just, you look at probably 7 or 8 of the 10 matchups are going to be, top 5 matchups, or at least, top 10 matchups. So, it's going to be a lot of high-level wrestling, and I know that Penn State likes to wrestle. I know that Aaron Brooks likes to wrestle, and that's something I look forward to. I would rather wrestle a guy that is going to come out there and shoot on me a bunch and try to hand fight me and get to attacks, versus a guy that's going to, kind of shell up and try to be defensive. So I look forward to matchups like that, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. I think that's kind of something that we've been trying to do as a team, is just not look at it as a grind, because the truth of wrestling is it is a grind, and you just have to kind of accept that. But I think that the teams that find success are the ones that learn to enjoy the process and kind of enjoy these moments. So we're just looking forward to it.
I know it's been a great year for you, and not just an academic athletic year, but a calendar year. You look back to the Summer Olympics in 2020 when you win bronze. What was that Olympics like for you?
It was, a surreal experience, just the entire thing. I was, able to carry the flag in the opening ceremony. So, outside of just the wrestling experience, just, something that I'll remember for the rest of my life, being in that opening ceremony. And then, obviously the wrestling part, I scored a takedown with 10 seconds left, coming from behind to get that bronze medal. And, I've said this before, but it was kind of like I've been on the other side of that coin flip where, it comes down to that last, or scramble, and I end up losing the match. So for me to kind of finally turn that corner and, make it happen was really special to me, just for my confidence and just, for the love of the sport, just to continue to grow.
All right, Myles, we're going to finish by going short time, so we're going to put a minute on the clock. I'm going to give you some short questions with some shorter answers, and sometimes I go a little bit off the beaten path with this one. So let's start here. If you could get advice meet any wrestler in history, dead or alive, spend a few minutes with them, who would it be?
It's a great question. I think I'll go with Buvaisar Saitiev, and I would say Sergey Beloglazov, but I get advice from him, and that's somebody that he, kind of holds really high as a technician, and he always talks about. So, I feel like he's world class, one of the best ever technicians. So I'd love to talk to him.
such a bond between the Amine family and Michigan wrestling. If you had to deal with one guy, past, present, or future, the Amine family that wrestled for Michigan, who's the last guy you want to deal with on the mat?
You know, I would say it's a great question. You know, Mark Trello was one of the best guys to come out of Michigan, you know, 3-time NCAA champ, and I know he's a really tough guy. So, you know, out of respect for him being one of the top guys, I'll pick him.
All right, we're out of time, but I got to have one bonus question because I saw it this weekend, and it is glorious. The mustache of teammate Patrick Bruckey. It may be the best lip hair in the entire country. How do you describe it as his teammate?
Oh, he's, you know, I remember when he came onto campus and he had that mustache, I thought it was a joke. And, you know, he's kind of rolled with it, and now I can't imagine him without it. And if you know Pat, you know, it fits his personality to a T. He's just, you know, I don't know how to, you know, say it any better than that. Just like, you know, I love the stash, and I even out of respect for him, was rocking the stash for about a week. And then I couldn't do it anymore. It's just not my style.
There's not many people that can pull that one off. Myles Amine, we truly appreciate the time. Best of luck the rest of this year, and we really look forward to watching Friday's matchup against Penn State, you versus Aaron Brooks, 1 versus 2. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.